this is Angela. Welcome to Scrapbook Techniques. Today we're going to get right in and we're going to talk about how you can add texture and interest to your die cuts and other embellishments using water reactive inks. Okay, so to start this off, let's kind of go through. Here's just a quick example of a layout that I did that has a lot of different interest and a lot of different techniques that we're going to be going through today. I am using water reactive distress inks, and we'll go over those colors here in a little bit. But I just wanted to kind of give you an example of how some of these techniques may look on some of your pages. So this is a very vintagey theme here. This is Cossette by Close to My Heart. It is a great new product. But let's get started. All right, the first thing that I always do when I'm planning a project is I will come in and I will plan out my page. This is our free scrapbook page planner that is available for your download as a PDF. So let's just kind of start through our checklist here and make sure that we've got everything, okay? Really supplies, I'm just making embellishments right now, so I'm not going to make them any particular size or shape. It's just going to go into into an album or layout or memory journal or planner. So we don't need to really worry about anything there. My focal point is really making handmade textured embellishments, and that's what we're going to work on. Okay, if I look at my next checklist, I have just some of our white daisy cardstock, and this is my scraps. This is how I keep my scraps. So we will definitely be using that. If we get into my ideas, this particular video here does support our 2023-01 challenge that is live until the end of April. So please take a look at that and come and join us. Techniques. I've just made a couple of notes here that basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, add texture and interest with water reactive inks. I'm going to do some splatters. I'm going to do some staining. I'm going to do some painting with one color, and I'm going to do some painting with multiple colors. So that's just kind of in a nutshell what we're going to be looking at today. Okay, the colors. Let's talk about this. So because I plan on using all of these embellishments on Cossette, what I do is I go and I look at my ink pad swatches. And I say, okay, for example, one of the colors in this kit is pine from Close to My Heart. Well, I know that iced spruce is a very good substitute for that using the Distress Oxide inks, because again, our colors aren't going to be the same. But as you can see here, here's Tattered Rose and Peach. Here is pine and iced spruce. Here is Speckled Egg and Seabrook. Victorian Velvet. Here is one of my favorites, Honey Butter and Scattered Straw. We have Mist from Close to My Heart and Weathered Wood. And one final one, we have my favorite brown, which is Toffee compared with tea dye in the Distress ink. So you can see all of these colors are very close and very tonally the same. So that is how I chose which shades and which particular Distress Oxide inks I was going to use for this, knowing that these embellishments were going to be layered with the Cossette kit. Okay, got a couple of just little examples that we've done here besides the page that I already showed you. So these are a couple of things we're going to be doing today. And let's start talking about what else I have in there. So we've gone through the colors. The other thing that I have here is this is the Intense Black ink from Close to My Heart. And I use this to basically stamp. And you can see here, I'm using this really cute stamp of the month. And basically what I'm doing is I'm stamping it with this Intense Black ink so that the black inks will not run. Okay, so that is a must when you're working with a lot of these water reactive inks. Okay, here you can see this is a piece of scrap paper that I've used to kind of dip up my inks. I'll show you a little bit more about that here in a little bit. Okay, so those are our colors. Let's talk about the tools that we have out here. Okay, so right now the tools that we have out here is I have a bunch of Stampin' Thin Cuts, and here you'll recognize this cute little branch coming right out of here. And the interest of time, I've pre-stamped and pre-cut everything. I also have this cute little postage stamp that we're going to be working with. And you already saw a preview of this cute little bird. Okay, so we'll be working with those tools. I also have my craft mat out. Anytime at all I'm working with water or anything like that, I like to have this out, especially to let my pieces dry. So we'll just kind of fold that up for just a second. And let's start to get into some of my other tools that I have here, okay? So we'll look at, I've got a regular paintbrush, I've got my Ranger Mini Mister, and I have 2 water brushes, as well as my tweezers, okay? And here you can see here all the little die cuts that we're going to be working with today. So let's get started and let's talk about how we're going to do this. Oh, one more very important. You see, I do keep all of this kind of distress stuff just in this little tin. This is just a little porcelain tin. And it just makes it easy to kind of move it around on my desk without having to move all of these silly little inks. So we're just going to set them aside. I have a little cup of water. I have baby wipes. And I have this wonderful Sizzix multimedia mat. Now, I love this thing because it does not move. It's got an anti-slide on the back of it. And so I'm going to be using this as I'm working with mixed media. Now, I do have a glass mat on my tabletop. And so therefore, I'm not too worried if I get a few splatters here and there, because it'll just wipe right up. So you can probably see you're getting a little bit of a glare there. Okay, so we'll cover that with our nice little mat. So let's get started with our first technique. The first technique that I want to do is super easy. And we're going to take this cute little leaf branch here. And again, this came from our card making stamp and thin cut. You can see here, I've gone ahead and stamped the image, and then I've used the corresponding die cut to be able to cut it out. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull out my iced spruce, and I'm also going to pull out my small water brush from close to my heart. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink up by rubbing my pad right on this mat. I'm just going to ink up the mat a little bit. And I'm going to add just a little bit of water to that, just with my mister. And there you can see it now. It looks like we've got a little bit of a watercolor. Now, I have a choice. I can paint this on. If you don't have a water brush, that's not a problem. I can paint this on just by inking up my brush. Okay. And I can very easily paint this particular color right on to our white daisy cardstock. No need to use watercolor cardstock or anything like that because we're not getting that much water down. Okay, and you can see all that I'm doing is just coming in and painting these leaves. Okay, that's our first technique. Super, super simple. Now, I can come back in as this starts to dry. I can add another layer in here. I can make this just a little darker, a little lighter. Here you can see this is what it looks like when it's fully dry, and it definitely has this cute little watercolor effect to it. So if you like that effect on your scrapbook pages, this is a great technique to try. So for right now, I'm going to stretch out my craft mat over here to the side. And we're going to set these little guys right over here to dry. Okay, that's our first technique. Basically, we paint. Okay, I'm going to leave this ink here for right now. There's no need to move it or take it anywhere. So the next technique that I want to do is I want to show you using this other cute little bird here. I want to show you how to paint using multiple colors. Okay, I'm still going to use my fired spruce. I am going to come in for this cute little chick, and I'm going to use some scattered straw. I plan on using some Victorian velvet and a little bit of tattered rose. Okay, so these are going to be the main colors that I'm going to use for this. Okay, so this is a pretty dark color. So I'm going to take my light scattered straw. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just layering in a very quick layer down here at the bottom. Now on this, let me show you how to use a water brush on this. I'm going to use the large water brush, and all I'm going to do is squeeze it, get some of this ink nice and ready, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in again and start to paint this on, okay? And again, you can see I'm going fairly quick. I just want a little bit of wash of color in here. And again, these are liquid. We are treating them as watercolors right now. So I'm just kind of quickly coming in, dabbing where I want a little bit of extra dark color. Again, these water brushes make it super easy. This ink flows really well. Here we go. So you can see we've got a nice, cute little coat started there for him. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to dry my brush just a little bit. I'm going to come in and I'm going to pick up some of this iced spruce. And I'm going to start dabbing this in here to all of my leaves that are on this cute little chick for Easter. Okay. And again, you can see I'm just kind of putting those in there, putting a few dots of color all around. There we go. And you can see the ink is bleeding a little bit, and that's okay. That's kind of what we want it to do. Okay, let's work on these flowers a little bit. I'm going to start with my tattered rose, and I'm going to use that on these smaller flowers. So again, this is a fairly light color. So I'm just going to smush that ink right in there. I'm going to grab, since this is a smaller flower, I came in and grabbed my small water brush. Okay. And again, I'm just mixing that water in there to make it reactive. There we go. And I've got those two little flowers all done. Now I also want to put some little details back here in his feathers. And I think I'm also going to give him a little bit of this tattered rose color on his head. Okay. And you notice I'm going right over these black lines. My black is not smearing in any way, which is great. Give his little beak some color there. All right. Let's dry that off. Our last color is going to be Victorian Velvet. Okay. And again, there is my quick rub directly on my mat. And I grab some of this that got a little bit outside of my well. There we go. And now let's come in to these particular flowers here. You can see this is a really dark, deep, rich color, which is great. Okay, there we go. Also wanted to give his wing a little bit of this color. There we go. All right, so I did forget to do his little tail feathers over here earlier with our scattered straw. So I'm just going to come back in now and put that color in. There we go. And this little guy is now perfectly ready for a card, a scrapbook layout, a memory journal layout, whatever you'd like to use it for. Okay. Technique number 2. There he is drying, and there is the one that is all dry. Now let's come over and let's look at making a couple of tags. Okay. The first thing that I did was on this tag right here was I created just some little splatters just to give it a little bit of technique and a little bit of texture, I should say. And so let's add a few more in. I'm going to use this ice spruce. Okay. And I'm just going to gently tap my paintbrush. And again, you could use your water brush if you like to. I kind of like to use paintbrushes for these splatters though. And there we have some really cute little splatters that as they dry, you can see because this is all a water reactive ink, those dots are kind of spreading out. And so now we kind of have this aged look in terms of this particular little tag stamp. And so we'll set him aside. Now, I have this really cute, this is actually tea dye, okay? And again, you can see I have a few splatters on my work area. I'm gonna grab my little thing of alcohol-free baby wipes, and in about 2 seconds, there we go. All done, all ready to go. All right, so this is tea dye. And what I really wanna do is I wanna give this a lot more color, okay? You notice I still have all of my ink pools over here. Well, let's just see kind of what happens if I start to kind of dip this into these inks. Oh my goodness, look at that. Now we have this really cute water effect tag, okay? So that is how basically we can go through and we can end up staining our die cuts to give them some more color. Now you notice I just added in a little bit more of the Victorian velvet because I wanted a little bit darker on that corner. So we will just set him right over here as well. One final technique for you, and that is going to be with this iced spruce tag. And basically all that I'm going to do on this tag is I'm going to come in, and you can see I put a drop of water on there. I'm going to come in now and I'm going to mist that, okay? Now, what do you see that kind of starts to happen here with my ink, okay? It's getting splotchy. I'm just adding some more dots of water in here. Basically, all I'm trying to do is get rid of that nice flat surface that we had and give this a little bit of texture. Now, again, if I want to add even a little bit more of texture to this, let's bring in some of these Victorian velvet splatters. Okay. And again, you can do it however you like to. I like to just kind of tap on my finger. And now, I know it's a little harder for the camera to pick up, but basically what's going on with this is those inks are really melding together and they're creating a really interesting marble looking background. Okay, so that is the end of this technique video for today. Please like or subscribe down below. The other thing that I always like to do is you can see I still have a few other inks over here. I like to take a piece of scratch paper. This is one that I did before, but I just take a piece of my White Daisy cardstock and I just start kind of dipping my paper in at various areas, okay? And I might need just a little bit more water in some of these to make this work. But basically, all I'm doing is trying to use up whatever excess inks I might have, okay? And you see, I didn't get a really good coverage on this all over, so I'm actually going to do just a little bit more. I'm going to take this tea dye, and I'm just going to smush it right on my pad again. And I'm going to bring in my brush, get some nice water and ink kind of flowing here. Number one, I'm going to take that and dot that over both of these. But then the other thing that I want to do is just press my paper down in there really nicely. So using this flat part of this surface works really good for this technique. And you can see we're starting to get some really cute marbled kind of ideas in there. Let's quickly wash and wipe so we don't get any muddy colors. And let's bring in some more of the scattered straw. Okay, again, I'm going to add some ink. and some water directly down on my craft mat. Give it lots of water here. I want it to really kind of run everywhere. And on this now, you can see I'm just kind of coming in and dipping my edges around. Okay, ooh, I like how that's looking. Okay, let's think about what other color we might want in there. I really like this Victorian velvet. We've pretty much used up all of our paints over here. So let's quickly come in, make our ink pool right here. And this, I'm definitely just going to be kind of strategic about where I put it. Okay, I'm kind of looking for these white spaces around. Kind of right along my edges. Maybe a little bit right in the middle. There's a lot of yellow over there. There we go. So now I want this to react just a little bit more. So I'm going to take my mister. I'm going to hold it a ways away. And I'm just going to wet that down. And what that's going to do is that's going to cause all of those colors to blend in even just a little bit more. And once both of these dries, I will show you the finished little tag that I'm going to make out of these. So stay tuned for that. Look for those photos here at the end of the video. Thank you so much. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button below.